guys, so I wanted to come and do a video for you guys. Sorry about the noise that you hear. My door's open and they're out there mowing the lawn. Cameron's making little noises in the background. The TV's going, so it's a lot of noise, so you're gonna hear it. But I wanted to do a video about, what happens when I have to call the ambulance to get Cameron to the hospital. So I know that you guys have been seeing him in the hospital quite a bit lately. This is not because of his typical seizures. Now, his typical seizures, he has once every week and a half, I would say. When I have a seizure emergency where I need to call 911, this is when he has a seizure that's either 5 minutes or longer, which thankfully I've never seen him have one like that, but it's also if he has seizures in clusters. So if he has 3 seizures or more within the span of an hour, that's considered a seizure emergency. Typically, if he has that many, in a cluster, he's having 3 like within 5 minutes. We don't even make it to the hour point. So, and it's a little unnerving because I feel like I'm the only person that notices when it's gonna start. Like, it's just the tiniest little thing where I'm like, oh man, we're about to have a problem. So for instance, the last incident that we had a few days ago, he was sleeping and then I just saw him kind of like startle out his sleep. He was sleeping and then he just started out his sleep real quick. So to somebody else, that would just be, oh, he started out his sleep, or he just had a little nightmare or something like that, because we all do it. You've been sleeping and you felt yourself jump in your sleep, and that's what he did. But for me, that's when the radar starts going off. So I saw him do it and I'm just like, okay, maybe that was I'm gonna still keep my eye on him. And then maybe like 10 minutes later he did it again, and at that point I started packing a bag for the hospital. I knew it was about to start. But I said, let's see if we get to that third one. And we ended up getting to the third one. Typically when he has seizures, he's asleep. But when the third one happened, when he was awake, that's when I really knew, okay, this is gonna be a thing. And I started to get his rescue medication out because they started getting closer together. So it wasn't like 10-minute space in between. So I gave him his rescue medication, and this is what anybody's supposed to do if their person, their person that has epilepsy has a seizure that's greater than 5 minutes or the cluster. So this is what the rescue medication looks like. It's called diazepam. It's a rectal gel. So all I need to do is take this off, and it comes with a lubricant. So I'll put the lubricant on here, I stick it in his bottom, and then push this button right here. And that's it. It's supposed to help, right? But it doesn't. That's the problem with Cameron. So every time that, I have to do this and it doesn't work, his doctor ends up like raising the dosage. Like, it's based on weight, and then they raise his based on the fact that it wasn't working too. It just still doesn't work. So anyway, I call 911, which I'm supposed to do, and they come out, and usually he's still seizing, just back to back. I mean, at this point, they end up coming like, the seizures end up coming maybe like every couple minutes, sometimes every minute. Like, they're just really, really close together. So the ambulance comes out and they end up giving him more of a rescue medication. So this one is intramuscular, which means they basically stick a needle through his muscle. Like, they'll put it in his leg and hope that stops it. Usually it doesn't. Usually he ends up seizing. There's Cameron. Usually he ends up seizing all the way to the hospital, and he ends up probably getting another 2 doses of rescue med in the ambulance, because it's probably like maybe a half-hour drive. One instance, it was so bad that he had to go to like a closer hospital. There was a closer branch of the children's hospital, and he can't be admitted there. It's only an emergency room. So they got him there, they got him stabilized, and then they had to fly him to the main campus where he could be admitted. He wasn't making any noise until I started talking. So I hope you can hear me over top of him being happy. So anyway, yeah, we had to catch an ambulance one time, and that was really scary. That was scary for me because I don't like flying, and nobody wants to see their child in the helicopter, So that's how you know it's bad. So typically, once he gets to the hospital, he's usually still seizing over and over. They give him more meds. They'll give him one called phenobarbital. They'll give him a loading dose of another one called Keppra. They'll give him something else if they have Ativan. You know, they give anything that they can try, and it can get to a point where he has respiratory distress, because that's a lot of medication. You know, that's a lot of medication they're putting in him, and once they get to a certain point, they'll say, okay, we're not there yet, you know, to the point where it could mess up his respiratory. But one time it did get to that point. It got to the point where he had to be intubated, which means they had to put a machine down his throat to breathe for him, because they had to protect his airway, because they said, you know, if he falls asleep right now, he could stop breathing. He's not going to be able to breathe on his own. Like, all of that medication can cause respiratory distress. So that had to be done once, and that was really scary. He had to be sent to the ICU, and which I'm sure most of you know that means the intensive care unit. So that, you know, that was really scary. So every time you see us call the ambulance and we're going to the hospital, that is what is happening. Usually he just has to be admitted once they get it to stop, which usually from start to finish, like from when I noticed the first seizure till when they finally get it to stop, that is usually from 2 to 3 hours. So usually he's probably seizing in clusters for 2 to 3 hours. That's how long it takes for it to actually be able to stop, from the time I give him his rescue med till the time the hospital gets it to stop. Previously, this only happened like once a year, maybe twice at the most, like when he's sick or something like that. But it's happening more often. The last time that it happened, a few days ago, he did end up being sick. They swabbed him and he had the rhinovirus. And you know, if you've seen my previous video about staying away from these children that have issues like him for this reason, you know, because a simple cold can cause all of this to happen. It caused him to have like a lot of seizures. So just, you know, of course, still be mindful of that. But yeah, so now it's happening like every 2 months. As you see, we're going to the hospital for the same thing every 2 months. So I asked them this time about just like a new rescue plan, you know, which we'll still talk to his regular neurologist about it. So the new rescue plan is this drug called clonazepam, and it's a pill, but it melts. Like once you put it in the mouth, it dissolves. Like you put it right in his cheek and then it'll dissolve. Usually this is what I use if I notice that he's getting sick. If I notice that he's having a fever, I'll call this in and try to catch it before it gets crazy, because you know, when you're sick, it lowers your seizure threshold, and you know, crazy stuff like this can happen. So I usually ask them for this, but it's a lower dose than this, and he takes it for 3 days, and they call it a sick bridge. So that usually will get him over the sickness. Like he just had pneumonia maybe 2 weeks ago, and with the clonazepam, he got through it because I caught it early. I caught it in time, but I didn't know that he got rhinovirus, which kind of overlapped with the pneumonia. So this will be his new rescue plan. Put this in his cheek if he starts having the clusters and see if it stops. I don't know if his neurologist is going to be on board with keeping this up, or if we're going to try something else. They do have ones that you can put in the nose, and of course they have the rectal ones. So I don't know. Hopefully they figure something out for him where we don't have to keep going to the hospital, where we can just stop it. His doctor did want me to still call 911 just so they can check him out respiratory wise after the rectal one, because the dosage is so high. But with this, I'm hoping that it helps. I don't know. It's scary to think that I'm putting something in his mouth while he's having seizures, but it does dissolve, but it's still scary. So, but I just kind of wanted to just let you guys know what's going on. Hopefully, once we relocate, we're relocating to Philly in 2 months, and he'll be going to CHOP. And you know, CHOP is like one of the best hospitals out there. So hopefully they can just figure this out. The neurology team out there can figure it out, figure out why this is happening so often, and see if the medications and things that he's on now is what he should be on, you know. So I will hopefully fill you guys in with good news, you know, in a few months once he gets to CHOP. And yeah, so that's what's going on, guys. I thank you guys for all the prayers and support that you guys have given, and just all the love that you've shown, because it means a lot. It really does. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.